Well, Chairman of Parliament's Finance Committee, Dr. Assibey Yeboah, has described as sloppy the corruption risk assessment done by the Special Prosecutor on the Agyapa Mineral Royalties deal. He says, reading the report, it is clear the Special Prosecutor was on a fishing expedition. Special Prosecutor Martin Amidu in his report concluded there was a breach of the Public Procurement Act and Public Financial Management Act in how transaction advisors were procured. He also raised reasonable suspicion of bid rigging and corruption. We bring you a news desk report.
Discloses the identity of Imara Corporate Finance Limited of South Africa as one of the transaction advisors. The report notes the processes that led to the procurement of the firm should have gone to Parliament because it's an international transaction. That was never done. Secondly, the whole of the fees for the bid purportedly won by Imara of South Africa with its decoy Data Bank of Ghana is to be paid in US dollars to Imara Corporate Finance Limited of South Africa. The mandate agreement does not say when and how the decoy Data Bank of Ghana was to be paid by Imara for a contract purportedly won and performed jointly. This opaque arrangement in the contract negotiation process is what made the analysis by the Office of the Special Prosecutor conclude that there is a reasonable suspicion of bid rigging and corruption activity, including the potential for illicit financial flows and money laundering in the arrangement of fees payable to Data Bank of Ghana as the decoy, which was not approved under the Public Procurement Authority Act. The transaction advisors nonetheless went ahead to identify and recommend service providers and underwriters to the Ministry of Finance for appointment by the Republic of Ghana. The ministry acted contrary to the Public Procurement Act and the Public Financial Management Act in delegating the power to appoint service providers to the unlawfully appointed transaction advisors. The transaction advisors, whose selection and appointment by the Finance Ministry did not measure up favorably to the analysis of risks of corruption and anti-corruption assessments, were potentially susceptible to undue influence, favoritism, cronyism, nepotism, and all forms of discrimination abhorred under the 1992 Constitution, leading to the suspected packing of the service providers and underwriters' position with entitlements not chosen on merit.
Chairman of Parliament's Finance Committee, Dr. Assibey Yeboah, however, disagrees with the position taken by the Special Prosecutor, insisting he did not do a thorough job. The President has asked that the deal be resubmitted to Parliament for a review. But Dr. Assibey Yeboah told the press corps in Parliament the deal is already closed.
Thus far, reading through his report of his corruption risk assessment report, this has been a sloppy job, very, very sloppy, because the connected parties. I, as chairman of Finance Committee, he pronounces on our work. He didn't even speak to me. Okay, he came to Parliament gathering our reports and the work he's done as if he's going behind us to get some information. How nobody says in the Finance Committee meetings, okay? So who best to speak to when you want to know what has transpired at the Finance Committee? This is work that started in 2018 on the passage of the Minerals Income Investment Fund law. Subsequently, its amendment, then these agreements. These have been with the committee for the better part of 2 years. And so for him to suggest that he doesn't think that the committee did a thorough job scrutinizing these, maybe he doesn't appreciate numbers, and so he doesn't see how we could have done this in quick fashion. But if I go through things he has to say, for instance, about the mandate agreement, who has authority to sign the mandate agreement, this bit about the transaction advisors, Imara Data Bank, and being a conduit for corruption. This is like somebody on a fishing expedition. He hasn't done a thorough job, and all that he's put out is inconclusive. He's unable to pinpoint corruption or graft or wrongdoing anywhere. It could have been this. It wasn't thorough. I think this is the sloppiest job he's done so far, and if he continues on this path, I don't think people are going to take him seriously. To all intents and purposes, the Agyapa Royalties SPV matter is closed. It is closed. Parliament cannot go back and review what it's done previously. Unless some new material is presented to Parliament, some new request comes, then we can open it anew. But to go back to review what we did, that is not how Parliament works. Otherwise, there has to be a motion of rescission to rescind the decision that was taken earlier. And when you are rescinding that decision, then you are looking towards a different direction. But that's not the case here. I think if you read through the spirit of what the president is saying, he just wants us to, he just wants the country to take a break and then after elections go full speed ahead. So it's not as if government is abandoning this monetization of royalties thing at all.
Minority Leader in Parliament Haruna Idris is also pushing for the punishment of government officials involved in the Agyapa deal.
Cannot remedy the defects of the transaction in any way possible. That is why we question the transaction. In any case, what is government desperately looking for $500 million US for? What do they want the money for? What is the national need? What is the emergency for which we must borrow? From a transaction that we earn without borrowing, gold contribute 4% to our national revenue. Government without Agyapa earns $130 million US annually from gold revenue, and just 10 of the mineral mining companies make significant contribution to our total revenue. Parliament cannot remedy the defects so identified by the Special Prosecutor. How is Parliament going to cure nepotism and cronyism? How is Parliament going to cure that you appointed a chief executive without due process? How is Parliament going to cure that you pass a resolution on a non-existing law? You don't build a house on nothing. It was built on nothing. So how is Parliament going to cure that a motion is moved and the motion is amended at the very time it was to be adopted to make room to wait for a president to assent to a bill so passed by Parliament? We feel strongly vindicated. The truth must always stand with the political minority at all times, and Ghanaians will now understand why momentarily I lost my cool and temperament for an important national matter of this character and nature. You find a Minister of State trivialize it with Papano at that time, not concerned about the weight and magnitude of this particular transaction.
Mr. Idrisu says the minority feels vindicated, adding Parliament cannot cure the defects raised by the Special Prosecutor.
Parliament cannot remedy the defects as captured in the conclusions of the Special Prosecutor. I should commend the Special Prosecutor for doing a diligent work on the corruption risk analysis of this particular transaction. How is Parliament going to remedy breaches to the Public Financial Management Act? How is Parliament going to remedy breaches to the Public Procurement Act and its accompanying amendment? How is Parliament going to remedy payments made to IMRA, which has a decoy company of data bank? How is Parliament going to remedy that? So I do not see the NDC minority ever supporting anything Agyapa. I want to be convinced that is worthy building a national consensus on, and that will be premised on three important issues. One, what are you borrowing the money for? What did you need 500 million or 1 billion for? Why are you monetizing gold royalties when you can leave the same royalties and benefit from it annually with $130 million US, noting that it makes a significant contribution of 4% to your national revenue and just a contribution of 10 mining companies.
But Majority Leader Osechimen Sibunsu says no decision can be taken on the way forward until the referral gets to Parliament. He describes as preposterous claims the Parliament did a bad job on the original agreement.
I don't know the content of the bag that is coming to us. if we assess it and we believe that we can work on it, we will apply ourselves to it. But already we have a tall order of business for us to process and indeed transact. If adding to it, we believe that it's possible, so be it. If it's not possible, we'll have to turn it away. But I don't know what it entails, so I cannot make any definitive pronouncement on that.
Some say this shows Parliament didn't do a good job with the earlier document.
How does it show? How does it show? What's conclusive about it? Do they know better than we do know? Thing is, you can't just conjecture from the top of your head.
Your position is that.
Can I finish? And sometimes these things are very preposterous. Somebody sees somewhere as making a definitive pronouncement. You ask him, have you seen it? He hasn't seen it. So what's the sense in critique when we say we haven't seen it? Even me, I can tell you that I haven't seen the reference and the content. So how does somebody sitting somewhere who hasn't seen it, condemn Parliament for lack of diligence?
Mr. Chairman also disagrees with the Special Prosecutor's view that the establishment of Agyapa in a tax haven was out of place. He however says Parliament is sometimes challenged in considering documents because they don't have experts to advise them.
That doesn't mean that whatever Parliament or any Parliament anywhere in the world does is sacrosanct. There's no Parliament anywhere in the world that is beyond reproach. Right? Especially given our own circumstance when we don't have experts to independently consult to give us their opinion about that. Right? And we must be working to improve that in order for us to improve the quality of our own positions on matters. We are not experts. All of us are not experts in the various fields. It's important that we are able to engage consultants and experts, and we don't take whatever comes from government as a given, right? So we must work to improve the conduct of business in the House, right? That one, yes, I agree. But for anybody to say that, oh, we didn't do good work, we had 4 hours, that's not true.
Joining me via Zoom now is Samuel Bekwen, who belongs to a group of civil society organizations opposed to the Agyapa Mineral Royalties deal. Good evening, and thank you for making time to speak with us. Now, the Alliance of CSOs working on extractives, anti-corruption and good governance has been pushing against this deal for a while now. Are you happy with where we are now and the decisions taken by the president?
Thank you, Israel. And it is very important that I think all of us, including citizens, should understand what the Special Prosecutor had done is what we call a corruption risk assessment. It did not, I don't think the report concluded to say there were corruption, but this is an important thing that raised any red flags with such an important deal. It is important that the president has taken this report and has suggested that the deal should go back to Parliament. But as we have said under the civil society organizations that have been concerned with this Agyapa deal, we had said that the current form of the deal and the structure was not going to be beneficial to citizens of Ghana. We had also raised issues about some of the governance issues that the Special Prosecutor has taken time to investigate or have done this analysis to know that, yes, there were some procedures that were not followed by the Ministry of Finance. So this shows that there is an important procedure that is there that we are supposed to follow legally as well. And therefore, we have to actually follow such procedures. It is important also that we all have to know that these referrals that have been made now, present another opportunity for Parliament to review the deal and also consider all stakeholders' views, as we have suggested, to look at whether the deal is going to be beneficial. I think we want to know the technical side of the deal, not just the governance side that the Special Prosecutor has suggested. Is the deal going to be beneficial? The deal as it in its current form is not beneficial because the deal is going to cede our royalties in perpetuity to the Agyapa Company Limited, given that there could be risk of bad management that could lead to also bad investment, meaning that we lose all that money. And I heard some of the comment made by the minority leader. What we asked the same question: what is so important with the 500 million? What is the emergency? Couldn't we raise such monies from any other source, including debt as well, or even including sort of making Agyapa like a special purpose vehicle to go in for loan, which will not also be on government debt? So we have suggested these issues, and we are glad that some of these risks have been raised by the special prosecutor, and we should take this in good faith, and you probably learn lesson from that to do risk analysis, corruption risk analysis, for all important and major deals that we undertake in Ghana.
Now, the chairman of Parliament's Finance Committee is not too impressed with the job done by Martin Amidu. His main issue is the fact that his committee wasn't consulted or wasn't invited to respond to some of the issues the OSP raised. Would you say this is a fair point?
I personally, if you're doing corruption risk analysis, you want to look at the red flags. I think in doing such analysis, I cannot say whether that's what the special prosecutor had followed, but I believe in doing such analysis, you've got access to all the documents, and given that parliamentary proceedings are always documented, once you have access to such proceedings, it means whatever happened at the committee meeting or even at the plenary, you have access to it. So this is not to say that there is corruption. This is to say that these are the red flags and the risk and the procedures you have to follow. And if you do not follow such procedures, then you sort of, it presents a high risk for such particular deal. So after corruption risk and assessment, the next would be if there is some of the risks are really high and potentially real, then you launch investigation to look at whether that risk could be real or not. So I don't think this is to make value judgment that there is corruption. I believe that it is a tool that the special prosecutor had probably adopted. We can ask for further information about what the tool is and whether it conforms to international best practices as well.
Otherwise, would you say that the issues raised by the special prosecutor, if they are addressed, then the deal can go ahead?
No, we did not just raise issue with governance. We raised issue with the technical and the benefits of the deal. We do not think that a deal that seed royalty in perpetuity is a good deal for Ghana. And in any case, we have also raised issue about the value of Agyapa, and that have not been raised by the special prosecutor, even though he had alluded to the fact that these were concerns from other stakeholders. So we have raised issues more than the governance and the procedures. Corruption risk could look at the governance and the procedures, but it may not be substantive to the economic benefit of the deal. So we have raised issue more than the governance, and we believe that the structure, current structure, if you want to go with the current structure, then you value the company well, then you know how much you want to sell or raise money from the stock market. We believe that we should really look at the deal, and the opportunity place for us is to go back to Parliament, do further consultation, take into consideration that those national consultative views, because this is a national asset. It's the ownership is for Ghanaians in trust with the president.
All right.
And therefore, taking major decisions like it, you will need that consultations. We do not believe that the current deal technically is going to be beneficial to Ghanaians.
Thank you very much. Samuel Bekwe is with the Alliance of CSOs working on extractives, anti-corruption, and good governance, and they have been against this deal for a while now. Well, staying with the Agyapa Royalties deal, former President John Mahama is accusing President Akufo-Addo of refusing to punish Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta over his alleged role in the controversial deal because they are related. Mr. Mahama's accusation follows the corruption risk assessment conducted by the special prosecutor on the deal, which said there might have been bid rigging in favor of Data Bank, a firm closely linked to the minister. Addressing the chiefs and people of Shishale-Boche in their Dentang constituency, John Mahama challenged the president to punish the finance minister just as he did the PPA boss.
Bibi oho, aye katasishe ene proye. Abra MPP omo opposition. Debi omo ka katasishe ene proye ho. Ene eden ne yehu. Se nipa koye katasishe anase oye adian se fata president akasa ena ebe yi na film akase odebi onye ehwe afọ corruption aginsem kra anope ye de Agyapa report aba na Agyapa report no kan ebo finance minister sobo so akwa as finance minister If he say oye obanpanyin enuanti ontimi enye hwe ontimi yinedi. And so ohwe nya etia PPA boss na entempara your man report na we yi say nipa na di. Enti nya fair justice and equal treatment ontimi hwe eni ho. Enti NDC besaba NDC ba abra ye wa ba mu se ye nipa eye bone a ye twe na so and no any trade the fight against corruption and you say we fi aban mu na new abayaba ni abefrem mo se court nya eye den ewo se ye kun etia katasehye ne proye ene se wan kasa won crofo form a wutimi e de 90 form etwe omoso enti nipa bebre a omo afom a omo adua sika ewo planado aban mu ewo so de 90 form na otwe omaso.